ranked in the AP top 25.
Well, and this environment has already produced, as you mentioned, a couple of top 10 wins over Tennessee and Kentucky. So this is a nice week for Auburn to test themselves. It could be a first or second round of the NCAA tournament type of matchup here against the Commodores, and then a potential Final Four matchup against the Crimson Tide later this Saturday.
Number one on the road, but Vanderbilt controls the opening tap. Hogard turns it over, and the steal by Miles Kelly. Auburn coming off that loss to Florida at home in Neville Arena, 90-81. Tigers missed 40 shots in that game. Bruce Pearl not lamenting the defeat, understanding how difficult this league is. Kelly's off the mark in the starting five for Vanderbilt, which was ranked in the top 25 just 2 weeks ago. Jason Edwards, the leading scorer, off the mark from downtown. And for the Auburn Tigers, say hello to Chris Moore, inserted into that starting five for the first time this season. Chad Baker-Mazar comes off of Bruce Pearl's bench tonight. And Moore with 16 starts a year ago, coming off the bench primarily this campaign. And the putback is Moore on cue.
Yeah, one of the toughest players on Auburn's team, and Coach Bruce Pearl, after Chad Baker-Mazar got banged up in the Florida game, decided to bring him off of the bench tonight, and he will be available, but Chris Moore certainly gets the start and makes his presence known early.
90 seconds in, Commodores in search of their first basket. Auburn's won 7 of the last 8 in this series. Hogard well short, and Broome controls.
Like the way that Auburn is guarding the middle ball screens of Vanderbilt right now. In order to beat the Vanderbilt Commodores, you have to be able to defend collectively as a unit.
With Broome on nickel, that's a mismatch, and Broome makes him pay.
Well, certainly a mismatch, but you can't allow Janai Broome to continue to go to that right shoulder. He fakes going to his left shoulder as good as anybody in the basket, or anybody in the country, but continues to go to the right shoulder to put the ball in the basket.
Bounce pass to Mignon, outside to nickel. That's been his spot this season, too strong.
Vanderbilt's going to have to make those shots. They'll have foot speed advantage with the smaller lineup right now, but they're going to have to be able to make perimeter shots once they're able to use the dribble drive to put Auburn's defense into rotation.
Commodores 10-1 when Tyler Nickel hits 3 or more triples this season. What a save by Mignon. McLaughlin double team and travel. Bruce Pearl, year 11, 3-time SEC Coach of the Year, led the Tigers to the 2019 Final Four, and he may have the team to make it back there in 2025.
Yeah, I think without question. And Mark Byington, a man who is 49-9 over his last 58 games, just simply sensational. You think about the job that he did at all of his stops, and a similar turnaround has happened even quicker because of the change in college basketball. Was able to bring some guys out of the transfer portal, institute his guys in his system very quickly.
Vanderbilt 2 early turnovers, 0 for 3 from the Florida starts. A magical run in 2019 for Bruce Pearl, an incredible season of Auburn basketball. Denver Jones, and a good sign for the Tigers. Just 2 points against Florida in that setback, and an early triple on the road. Auburn leads at 7-0.
Yeah, still a guy shooting 42% with 41 triples.
Nickel off the mark. Broome another rebound. Three and a half minutes in. Here's Jones again, an early heat check, and he buries the triple again.
Spoke with Coach Ira Bowman, assistant coach with Auburn earlier, and he said that's what he wanted to see out of Denver Jones, a guy who actually tried to take it to the opponents. He felt like he backed down against Walter Clayton Jr.
Commodores trying to get on the scoreboard. Here's Hogard. Monster jump stop, and he was falling down in the process. Jones again. Cardwell saves it. Miles Kelly. That's another 3. 2-0. Number one with an early body blow against Vanderbilt.
If you had questions whether Auburn was the #1 team in the nation or not, Miles Kelly and the Auburn Tigers in the first 4 minutes have some answers.
Kelly party early. Auburn with a 13-0 lead. Damian Fishback, Roy Philpott. What happened against the Gators on Saturday down on the Plains, Fish?
Well, I know that's the question a lot of people are asking. I think it was answered in the very first play. Janai Broome going one-on-one against Alex Condon, but watch Ruben Chinyelu come off of the basketball. The competition level has stepped up. That's a potential Final Four team. They've got two bigs. Second of all, on the run. In transition, Florida was not intimidated. Check out Florida Gators running the floor. Denzel Aberdeen, Alex Condon sprinting the floor, getting by Auburn's pressure. And so when they did that, now they're putting offensive pressure on the Auburn Tigers. The ball goes over, and even though it goes almost out of bounds, now you're looking at a broken defense. They're not matched up on the Auburn Tigers. Now you've got a simple dribble handoff with the screen on Chad Baker-Mazar, and that's an easy jump shot. Auburn Tigers were the hunted in every game, but they hadn't ran into a team that was able to match their size, to match their speed and athleticism. That's what they ran into against Florida. It was good for the Gators and good for Auburn. That's why we've seen the response that we've had here early from the Tigers.
Alabama looming Saturday. Good start for #1 on the road on this Tuesday night. If you are Mark Byington and you have seen this early blitz by the Tigers, what are you telling your guys?
Well, you lost the first 4-minute segment. You got Jalen Carey in the game now, who's going to bring much more muscle mass and physical toughness. So now he's going big on big. Tigers now, Auburn actually had more of a speed advantage with Chaney Johnson playing before, and Vanderbilt's a little bit bigger and stronger now.
Jalen Carey on the floor for Vanderbilt, as is MJ Collins and Grant Huffman in the backcourt. So 3 substitutions after that early surge by Auburn. 4 to shoot, Huffman launching.
And those are the shots they have to make. The transfer from Davidson, Huffman's got to be able to knock those down.
Tahad Pettiford just checked in and delivers with a mid-range.
Well, right now Auburn's playing angry. They're playing with the edge, which I thought they were missing a little bit in that Florida game. If you're the Commodores, you have to respond. You will not have better quad one opportunities than the Auburn Tigers here on your home court.
Edwards up and under off the double clutch, and it's all net. A much-needed bucket 5 minutes in.
Yeah, the 6'1", 175-pound junior is a microwave. Once he sees one go down, you can expect some more behind those.
Is that like Vinnie Johnson back in the day with the Pistons?
No doubt.
I'm not sure America remembers Vinnie Johnson. That was so long ago. Auburn was 11 quad one wins. That paces America. That could be 12 by the end of the night. Chad Baker-Mazara on the floor and off the mark from downtown.
And if you're wondering about that shot, Chad Baker-Mazara, number 10 in the blue for the Auburn Tigers, is a tough shot taker and maker. Those are the type of shots he'll take the entire game.
Edwards scored moments ago. When Vinnie Johnson got going, it was look out. I mean, he helped the Pistons to a couple of titles.
Yeah. Right now, the ball's too stagnant. Auburn switching everything, and Vanderbilt trying to take advantage of the mismatches.
Huffman's got to throw one up there off the back iron. Baker-Mazara clears. Here comes Pettiford. And the three-pointer is short.
A faster pace actually plays into the hands of the Commodores. They're a little smaller, so if they can use their speed, get out open floor and transition, it will enhance their offensive opportunities.
Commodores 1 of 7 to start. Here's Huffman inside off glass.
Chad Baker-Mazara grimacing a little bit. Remember, Bruce Pearl said he was banged up in that Florida game. We'll have to keep an eye on that.
They mentioned that yesterday in his press conference. He came off the bench tonight, but on the floor early, replacing Chris Moore. Broome against McLaughlin. This is a great matchup, and Broome in and out.
But you notice he made Janai Broome go to the opposite, to that left shoulder versus the right shoulder that he loves so much.
7 minutes in, the lead at 11. And Miles Kelly called for the foul. The Georgia Tech transfer picks up his first. Veteran officiating crew tonight: Doug Shows, Don Daly, Lucas Santos. And mass substitutions coming in for Vanderbilt.
And Miles Kelly was telling Doug Shows that he felt like Jason Edwards grabbed his arm on that particular play.
Here's Tyler Tanner, the crossover. And Jay Collins thinking about it.
Very quick Vanderbilt lineup right now. They have a huge speed advantage, even though Auburn's running a little small now.
Shot clock under one. Tanner, an air ball and a shot clock violation.
And that's what the challenge is when you play Auburn. When you see Dylan Caldwell for Auburn, I think he's one of the best defensive players in the nation. 6'11", 255 pounds, number 44, blue for Auburn. When he is able to switch and guard 1 through 5, it makes the Auburn Tigers challenging to score on.
Caldwell tried to thread the needle inside. It finally got to Denver Jones. And against Hogard, now Caldwell. Trying to post up Carey, and does. Strong finish.
Yeah, this is an advantage for Auburn right now. It should not be anybody on the floor who's able to stop Dylan Caldwell. You look at Jalen Carey, I would go right back at him. He's got the physical size and speed if he can get an angle on Caldwell.
Nickel with the mid-range. Carey on the offensive glass. Tied up by Caldwell. And a jump ball gives it back to Auburn after this timeout. The lead at 13. 17-4 for Bruce Pearl's team.
Okay, in studio, 2 other games in the SEC going on right now, including at Starkville. And Alex Condon for Florida goes down in pain, grabbing that right ankle. Left the court, right to the locker room, putting no weight on it. That was 30 seconds into the game. Florida currently leads by 3. Kobe Bryant for Kentucky looking for the sweep of Tennessee. Puts it in. Kentucky up 8-7 again early, guys.
All right, you've got those 2 games going on right now on ESPN and ESPN2, featuring 4 ranked teams in the Southeastern Conference, including Auburn here. That is 5 in action in that early window. You take a look at the SEC standings, and right now Joe Lunardi Fish has 13 in. But he sent out a note earlier today that Arkansas, by the end of the night, could be team number 14 in the field of 68.
Uh-oh, you heard that, Dari Noka. You heard that. That's right, 14. I know he's in the studio talking about Fish's 14. No, this is an historic year. You think about the job that the SEC did in non-conference plays. They took care of business, and as a result, Joe Lunardi's saying that we've got, currently in this league, a potential 3 number 1 seeds, or maybe even Florida with 4. I think Duke's going to end up being a number 1 seed. And then those teams at the bottom, your Oklahomas, Texas, Vanderbilt, Georgia, you've got to scratch and claw for every game. What an opportunity here tonight for the Commodores.
Great look inside to Caldwell, and somehow Pettiford spotted him on the back door. I'm not sure Tahad knew what he was going to do when he jumped in the air before releasing that pass, but he comes up with a brilliant dime, if you will. Open look, top of the key, MJ Collins.
Terrific score off the bounce. He's another guy who, when he gets hot, he can really get going, create for himself more than others.
First 3 of the night for Vanderbilt. Here's a steal. Tanner came away with it, and now Nickel off the back iron. Collins on the putback.
Big time finish. Iron unkind for the Commodores. 1 of 5 from 3. And they come into the basketball game in conference play shooting about 32%. But they can do a nice job of attacking the glass as well.
Pettiford splashes home a triple. And another response by Auburn. 22-9.
Yeah, Auburn much more lethal. 37% from the 3-point line. You don't want them to get going if you're the Commodores.
Outside to Hogard, he thought about it. Michigan State transfer. Gets it back to Tanner, the runner. Try to bank it in. Cardwell clears.
The Commodores do such a good job of taking advantage of mismatches, but it's been a challenge for them to use their speed to take advantage of those matches here today. Good ball movement.
Off the fake, here's Jones. Tracked down by M.J. Collins, who's been Vanderbilt's best offensive threat coming in off the bench so far tonight. Hogard. And the tip in, it was Carey.
Yeah, Jalen Carey matched up against anyone other than Janai Broome and Dylan Cardwell, I think will outman and overpower the rest of the Auburn Tigers tonight.
Pettiford, the freshman, lost it. Tanner a steal. And here's Hogard. Was fouled as he hit the deck. And that'll go on Denver Jones.
Boy, that's exactly what you need if you're the Commodores. And Coach Bruce Pearl said before the game, he said, if we control our turnovers, then we'll win the basketball game. If not, then we could lose this basketball game. And when the Commodores are able to turn you over, get you out into transition, it makes it much more challenging to use your length if you're the Auburn Tigers versus in the half court. They're really good at switching and keeping the basketball in front of them.
Hogard, the senior, gets one more free throw. Shade under 70% on the season. Tanner and Nickel check out. Tyler Tanner, by the way, just tied the freshman record for steals here with the Commodores. And now the lead back to 9. Jones for 3. Boy, Denver Jones, an early heater.
Yeah, we mentioned it earlier. Even though he struggled against Florida, he has certainly responded today. His three-point shooting along with Miles Calley, Chad Baker-Mazar really gives Auburn a chance to spread the floor.
25-13. Edwards releases quickly off the mark. Chaney Johnson a rebound. And now it's Kelly.
Good job of the Commodores getting back in defensive transition this time. They're matched up. They actually have a little more size.
Stolen by Carey. Broome will try to chase him down, and Carey lays it in.
So we've seen the points off of turnovers, and Jalen Carey wants some of this Memorial magic to take place tonight.
Coming off career highs, the comeback win against Texas on Saturday. 18-14. Broome poked out of bounds. It'll stay on this end with 8:09 to go in the half.
Anytime you're able to get stops defensively before the defense sets up, Jalen Carey just reads where that pass is going. Nice basketball IQ. Nice finish at the rim as well.
Boy, Fish, I thought that ball was last touched by Auburn. The Tigers get it back. Chaney Johnson to turn around with a jump hook.
Chaney Johnson, another guy who I think can take another step. When you talk about teams reaching their ceiling, Chaney Johnson, coming from Division II, I think is probably has one of the biggest upsides of anybody on Auburn's team.
Look at the first step by Edwards off the glass and a chance for 3.
Pretty basketball. Speed. That's going to be the theme of the night for the Commodores. Jason Edwards, beat, road runner, too quick for Miles Kelly, and flips it up with the right. Old school George Gervin, Iceman, finger roll.
Averaging a double-double, 3 blocks per game. Back on January 11th, he left the South Carolina game. A 3-point win for the Tigers with an ankle injury. Came back 3 games later off the bench, and that solid win against top 10 Tennessee. And you talked to him today, it sounds like he's feeling better about where that ankle is and kind of what's going on.
He said that yesterday was the best that he's felt since the injury happened, which was good, but that he certainly wasn't 100% yet. It's admirable, frankly, because he's putting a lot on the line. He could sit out.
The shot at 11-18 was scored a 3-pointer, but after review, 2 points. 1 point will be taken away from Vanderbilt.
So that's MJ Collins at the top of the key. That makes it 27-16.
Yep. Wanted to let Don finish. Don Daly, one of the best officials in the country. But anyways, so he said that he still wasn't 100%, and I think it's admirable because of the fact that he's competing for National Player of the Year. He's competing for draft status, but he continues to say, hey, I want to be here for our brothers. This is the last time we're going around. So if I can play, if I can lace them up and help my teammates, that's something I want to do. And I think that's something that should be appreciated by not only Auburn's fans, but his teammates as well.
Now, Bruce Pearl said as much yesterday. Edwards completes the three-point play. And he said, Coach, take me up, put me in. He knew he wasn't 100% when he came back for that win against the Vols, but that was a huge moment in the season. Jones, a great cut and an easy finish at the rack.
Well, and that's all from the basketball IQ of Janai Broome, too. I love bigs that can pass.
Lead back to 12, approaching 7 to go in the half, and Edwards was stripped on the way up. No foul, and it'll stay with Vandy.
And this is what I mean when I talk about Janai Broome. He looks right here and does a nice job of making sure, let it go. He sees it on the other side of the court, and once the head is turned that time by Tyler Tanner, there's a nice job of taking advantage on that back cut.
Collins with a pass for a moment and was tied up. Jump ball will keep it with Vanderbilt. How hard is it for a big to make that kind of play with the bounce pass, because it was threading the needle and he did it?
Yeah, well, you know, he's a veteran, and Auburn has 6 fifth-year guys on their basketball team. So they're an older team, right? They're a team that knows how to play the basketball game, and that's an easy pass for a guy like Janai Broome, who's been making it so long.
10 seniors on the roster, 8th oldest team in America. You got to think for Auburn that'll pay dividends next month.
See if we see a screen the screener here by Vanderbilt. They tried to screen and roll back with Jalen Carey. Nice job of defending by Chaney Johnson.
Chris Mignon attacking.
Oh! Young fella. That's how you attack the rim.
And Tanner tried to strip Pettifer from behind. That is freshman versus freshman. And a foul called on Tyler. First foul of the game against the Commodores.
Chris Mignon, 6'5", 215-pound graduate senior, does a nice job of taking off before Janai Broome is able to get in the air. We saw that coming, the transfer from Cornell.
Back to live action. Here's Broome. Lead at 10. Here comes Edwards, the mid-range. And you can feel a little mojo finally on the side of the home team.
Absolutely.
Chaney Johnson bumped by Mignon and a foul call. It goes against Chris Mignon as first.
Talked about quality officials. Doug Show's another one. That's an obvious foul. You can't move as a defender and push into the offensive player. But I love the fact that Memorial Gymnasium is competing for their basketball team right now. I think the home fans have been historically good in the SEC this year.
For a historical season for the conference, I would agree, and including 2 wins against top 10 teams here in Nashville, Kentucky, and Tennessee. Pettiford short. Broome tries to chase it down, and it's last touched by Janai Broome.
You know, there's been a lot of conversation about the physicality in the SEC. Even other coaches that came from different leagues talking about how physical it is. And I think what they're trying to do is just set a tone, be consistent, allow the game to be played physically, but keeping it under control without guys getting hurt.
It's an interesting conversation because the league is so deep and so talented. And the way games are officiated when you go from the regular season into March.
Sure.
I don't want to say it's different, but I think at times, given the caliber of teams in this league, I don't know that it's exactly the same come March Madness.
Sure. Well, what I would like to see is for the games to be called consistently in the league. I think that they are. And then for players, you're going to have to be able to adjust when you get to March Madness. There's no doubt about that. If it's called a little bit tighter, then you have to be able to adjust. If it's physical, then the SEC will be more than prepared for that.
Well said. Edwards was stripped on the way up as Kelly checks out. Chad Baker-Mazara back on the floor for Bruce Pearl's team. Lead at 8. It was once at 13. And now McLaughlin, the size advantage on Baker-Mazara for a moment. Carey, look what he found.
Right now, complete dominance on the glass. Dylan Caldwell for Auburn still not in the basketball game. No fouls.
Here's Janai Broome left wide open. Back iron. Denver Jones was out of bounds. It goes back to the Commodores.
Right now, the Commodores are winning the rebounding war 13-11. And one of the reasons why that's important, because offensive rebounds, as you saw that time by Jalen Carey, out of your area, which is something that they always like at the next level, is a sign of who's the more physical and tougher team. That's been the Commodores the last 5 minutes.
Fish, he has picked up right where he left off against Texas. 6 points, 4 rebounds with 5 minutes and change remaining here in the first half. He had 18 and 14 in the win over the Longhorns. Carey gets another touch. Inside to McLaughlin, and the lead down to 4.
Big.
Not sure how it got there, but it did.
Little luck, but it counts.
An 11-2 run. Vanderbilt right back in it. Baker-Mazara lost his balance, and the foul's called on Hogarth.
Well, right now, you can tell anytime they had that screen, it bounced off of Janai Broome's head.
Hey, that's Memorial Magic in action right there.
It's certainly a majestic pass without questions. But give credit, though. A nice job by Devin McLaughlin focusing on the basketball and reeling that in and completing it at the rim.
Jones with a hot hand. And Edwards was fouled. And in pain for a moment, grabbing the right side of his face. Appears to be okay.
Right now, you've got players on both sides complaining about the physicality. Hogarth that time pulled Janai Broome, and right now it's a physical game. But look at the shove that time by Jalen Carey. That's what you have to be concerned about, and that's what the coaches have been concerned about. I think the officials are going to have to keep a tight one on this basketball game. We realize the importance. Quad one opportunity, really an NCAA tournament winning opportunity for the Commodores, and obviously the Tigers trying to compete for an SEC title.
In the Vanderbilt perspective, the schedule after tonight, and keep in mind you're playing the #1 team in the land, features nothing but ranked foes for 6 straight contests. With a win against Texas Saturday, critical. This matchup, absolutely enormous. Carey got caught in the air, trying to do a 360. Shaney Johnson left open. Cardwell on the offensive glass.
Nice job defensively, though. Jason Edwards right back out where Auburn is so lethal on the offensive glass.
Pettiford off the screen from Cardwell. Auburn starting to cool off a little bit from distance. And Mark Byington beside himself on that baseline call by Don Daly. It remains with Auburn with 9 seconds to shoot. When we come back, they'll reset it to 20. The lead at 4 for #1, Auburn.
Here we'll see at the half an update on Alex Condon, if there is one. We know it did not look good for the Gator. Tennessee, Kentucky, we'll update what's going on there. That's a 1-point game right now, but how about what we're seeing?
You can't be surprised that Vandy's fighting in this game. Auburn, watch your back.
Fish, give me your top 5 teams in order in our conference.
Well, a lot of that's going to be determined on Alex Condon and his health, because Florida, I think, is good as anybody in the league. But you've got to go with the current standings. Auburn, Alabama, Florida, A&M, and Tennessee. I think they're in That's the standings that they're in, and I think that's the proper order right now.
You like the Aggies one step in front of the Vols at this juncture?
Yeah, I do. I think the Texas A&M Aggies are the most underrated team in the SEC, maybe in college basketball. But here's the out of bounds that the fans were so upset about. It goes off of Jalen Carey's leg, but watch the trajectory of the basketball change as it goes out. That's what the fans were saying. They believe that it hit Chris Moore's hand. The basketball spin and trajectory certainly changes, but I can't go against Don Daly. He was there. He saw it. The call is what it is.
It's the second call on that end of the court that favored Auburn, where everybody on that end of the arena was going bonkers as a result of the call. And the last time Chaney Johnson with a jump hook was able to cash in. Speaking of Johnson, he'll do it again with a bounce.
And that's what I mean. He's got another level that he can go to. I wouldn't be surprised come March Madness if he's not a guy that goes off for 20-plus points in one of the rounds of the NCAA tournament.
Averages 10 points and 5 rebounds per game this season. He's had some moments. 13 points in the loss against Florida. Hogarth trying to find that outside shot. He can't do it. Pettiford certainly has it. As has Jones.
You see how Auburn has a much better push, though, with Tahad Pettiford at the point guard. It's two different teams. Denver Jones, not as much.
Well, the hesitation outside to Cardwell. He does have a three-pointer this season. Pushed by McLaughlin. And the jump hook. Out of bounds.
And that's where he's got to improve his basketball game. He's got to be able to be under control, take it up with, and shoot just a turnaround jump shot or shoot a jump hook or a nice drop step. But McLaughlin was very physical, continued to knock him off like Ron Schley in the studio and Patrick Young, I'm sure they used to do. That's called chesting your opponent defensively and moving him off of his spot.
Guys are going to be busy tonight with all of these ranked teams in action in the conference. Got 5 games happening featuring 7 ranked programs in the SEC. Number 1 on display on the road here tonight in Music City. Great cut by Hogarth, spotted by McLaughlin, and the big fella drops a dime in.
Yeah, a nice second where A.J. Hogarth stopped for a second, and then he allowed the decision to be made. And once you saw Chaney Johnson trying to get back to his man, it was an on-time and on-target pass.
Denver Jones bottled up by Edwards for a moment. He'll spin his way free. The reverse. Carey clears. He bounced it right off the leg of a Commodore player. Hogarth gets it back. And he was fouled by Pettiford.
We talked about the fact that when you guard screens, you have to be prepared. And on the other side, just for a second, A.J. Hogarth pauses. And then when Chaney Johnson gets caught up to try to get back to Jalen Carey, right there, that pause allowed him to get open because Chaney Johnson did not stick with A.J. Hogarth. He decided to stick with his man, Jalen Carey.
Fish, Auburn has 5 threes, led by as many as 13. Vanderbilt has yet to make a triple. They're only down 4, and a bucket here makes it a 1-possession game.
Oh, it's definitely an upset recipe right now. You'll see it's 2 halves to every basketball game, but if you're the Commodores, you got to feel pretty good.
Collins came up short, the corner tray. Here's Baker Mazzara, sizes up at 3. Tanner to Edwards. Less than 2 to go in the half. Edwards a quick trigger. Cardwell skies for the rebound in front of Nickel.
Dylan Cardwell so valuable for Auburn because he completes their defensive possessions with so many defensive rebounds.
Denver Jones ready, waiting, and able. Another 3 for Denver Jones. Season high behind the three-point arc is 5. And tonight he already has 4. 14 points in the first half for Denver Jones. And Carey was fouled by Cardwell.
We talked about middle ball screens. That time, Tyler Tanner on the roll, he has to tag Dylan Caldwell. You see, and when he tries to tag on Dylan Caldwell, that allows Denver Jones the space between the two of them to where that closeout was too long for Tyler Tanner. A nice job of Auburn using that middle ball screen and then distributing the basketball to Denver Jones, who has been sizzling hot in this first half.
Denver Jones 5 of 8 from the floor, 4 of 6 from deep. 14 points to lead the charge for Auburn. Tyler Nickel took his time and drew the contact. What's a big possession, a 7-point game right before the half. You come up empty there, and Auburn's got a chance to make it a double-digit affair once again. Instead, Tyler Nickel gets a chance to shoot a couple of free throws.
Yeah, Auburn's a quality basketball team. We know that. There's a reason why they're projected as #1 in the nation, but the Commodores have responded well.
Now, coming up next, we'll get you down to College Station, Reed Arena, the place to be. Wade Taylor IV, that incredible shot against Mizzou right before the buzzer, leads the fighting Texas Aggies against the Georgia Bulldogs. And Asa Newell is headed your way here on SEC Network, 9 o'clock Eastern, also on the ESPN app. Tyler Nickel, 2 free throws, the lead back to 5. Baker Mazzara double team, maintains possession, tells Pettiford, I got this. And in traffic, in and out. Chaney Johnson stripped on the way up, off of his knee and back to Vandy.
Right now, Vanderbilt's doing everything that they can to continue to hold on. I thought that was excellent defense by Grant Huffman, and it was a terrific call once again by the officials off of the knee of Chaney Johnson. And the Commodores, as you mentioned earlier, now have a chance to cut this lead to a single possession game if they were to make a 2 or 3 here. You got to be happy with that if you're Coach Mark Byington.
Commodores owning wins against Kentucky and Tennessee, both ranked in the top 10 going back to last month. Part of the resume construction.
Look for this middle ball screen again with A.J. Hoggard.
2.5-second differential between game and shot clock. Boy, Baker Mazzara right on top of Hoggard.
Here it is.
Off the screen, Nichols left open. That's a 3! 34-32. And the first 3 of the half goes to Tyler Nickel for Vanderbilt. And look at what we have here, a 1-possession game 20 minutes in.
Some of that Memorial magic once again. Vanderbilt 1 of 9 from behind the 3-point line and only down 2. Look pretty good. Commodores 15-5 run.
It's 15-0 at one point. Let's get you back to the studio. Dari Noka, Ron Slay, Patrick Young. Gentlemen. From deep. The lead down to 1.
Yeah, the transfer that played a couple of seasons at Boston College, known as an elite offensive rebounder, shows his ability to stretch the defense.
Here's Denver Jones. The response on the other end. Denver Jones with 5 threes, and now it's 17 points.
And the officials taking a look right now. So Denver Jones off of the handoff with a nice 3-point shot. But I think the officials are going to look at the interaction between Devin McLaughlin and Janai Broome. They were literally held at, basically grabbed each other like a wrestling match. And again, that's why I say it's going to have to be called tight in this basketball game. Let's see. Nothing much there. 2 guys competing for the rebound. Oh, Janai Broome throws Devin McLaughlin down. And I think that happened because a few seconds before, Devin McLaughlin was grabbing Janai Broome. So that's frustration building up. And if you're Janai Broome, you got to maintain your composure and talk to the officials, have them look at the call. You can't display your frustrations, but I think the officials will go back and look even further as well.
McLaughlin and Broom tangled up, and then Broom just kind of spun around and McLaughlin fell backwards. Here's the call.
After review, foul call stands is called. Foul on blue 4.
Broom called for the common foul. It's not upgraded or elevated to a flagrant 1.
So this is where I think it started, right? So you see Devin McLaughlin there. He's holding, pushing Janai Broom, and then he puts his hands up. So that's where the frustration started. And so if you're Janai Broom, the last thing you can do is take Devin McLaughlin and just throw him down. He's certainly fortunate to not have that upgraded as a flagrant 1. Excessive, unnecessary. And we have a veteran officiating crew here. I think that the game will be called a little bit tighter as we go forward now. Let's see if cooler heads prevail.
Auburn has led from the jump tonight. It was 15-0 Tigers right out of the gate. Vanderbilt has rallied. McLaughlin, a couple of long strides and a foul inside. Boy, Cardwell got tangled up with McLaughlin, nearly stepped over him. And cooler heads prevail as Miles Kelly picks up his 3rd personal.
Yeah, strong penetration. Dylan Cardwell tries to go for the ball.
So Kelly with 3, Hogard to the line. And A.J. Hogard, 2 of 2 at the stripe tonight. Now with 5 points. So Kelly's going to have to check out. Chad Baker-Mazara back on the floor.
Yeah, that's a huge 3rd foul on Miles Kelly. A lot of quality shooters from the perimeter in the SEC. Caleb Grill, first one that comes to mind. Kobe Brea, Wade Taylor. But Miles Kelly is certainly in that conversation with the rest of them. Chaz Lanier of Tennessee. And right now, let's see if they can try to focus on converging on the interior because they have one less shooter for Auburn.
Lob to Broom over the top of McLaughlin, and he was fouled. Janai Broom to shoot 2.
Nice set that time. They lifted the opposite side. So Janai Broom was actually on the strong side, but they had all the players lifted so that it allowed the weak side to be wide open for Janai Broom to catch that pass. There was no weak side defense.
Was something that Vanderbilt worked on extensively at their shoot-around earlier this afternoon. And Mark Byington telling his team time after time, they want to lob it. They want to lob it early and often, and we've seen that at times so far tonight. Broom just his 3rd point. Carey and McLaughlin have combined for 11. And it's been a battle. The low block. Tapped out to Baker-Mazara. Denver Jones, the floater. Big possession for Auburn.
All stemmed from the offensive rebound. For the Commodores here, let's see if they can try to use their foot speed. Much smaller at that power forward position.
Mignon off the bounce, attacking. There's Hogard. McLaughlin on the offensive glass. Up and in! And a chance for 3.
Gritty. And that's what I mean when I say I expected the officials to start calling it a lot tighter. Devin McLaughlin just got away with a little push off, but goes up and into Chris Moore and is able to draw the foul. And that's what we talked about earlier, Roy, when we said you have to be able to adjust in game to the way the flow of the game is going right now.
McLaughlin 3 the hard way. He's got 8, 6 points in the half.
So if I'm Auburn now, I try to take the basketball right back inside. See if you can score at point-blank range or draw a foul yourself.
Baker-Mazara lost it. Edwards on the move for 3. Vanderbilt has its first lead. Broom. McLaughlin clears. Well, this old building comes back to life. 73 years young. Hogard, no. Carey, yes! (45-42). And now Broom, sensing the moment, fouled on the drive.
So many things that the Commodores are doing good right now. A lot of them stemming on the defensive end, but offensively, watch Jalen Carey. He simply beats Dylan Cardwell to the spot. He wanted that offensive rebound more. Right there, the explosion. It's a track meet. And those are the ways that you're able to get into the NCAA tournament. Making plays like that, taking advantage of your opportunity here in your own backyard.
Women's basketball takes over the SEC network every Thursday. Coming up this week, number 4 South Carolina trying to bounce back after its 57-game SEC winning streak came to an end in Austin on Saturday. They'll host the Florida Gators Thursday at 7 Eastern on the SEC network and the ESPN app.
Yeah, how about the job of Vic Schaefer using their size to go on the interior against the South Carolina Gamecocks? Multiple women's basketball teams in the SEC that once again will compete for a title.
Hogard tried to bounce it to Carey. Auburn comes away with it. And Mignon right behind Denver Jones. It'll stay with the Tigers. Boy, Fish, this game was 15-0. Auburn right out of the gate. The early haymaker, in your mind, what changed to give Vanderbilt its first lead here in the second?
Mark Byington told us in the Texas game that one word came to mind: resilience. I think it's a resilient basketball team. Now, they started to turn Auburn over, but they responded by making this game more physical. They realized they weren't going to out-talent Auburn or out-athleticize Auburn, so they became the more physical, gritty, something-to-prove team.
Chaney Johnson forces that one up and in. We're tied. Well, Johnson's got that mid-range game, a little old-school flavor.
Johnson's got so much that he can bring to the table. He's a guy who I think can put up 20 points on any given night.
Huffman back on the floor, as is Mignon, up and in. And a strong finish. He'll tell you about it afterwards.
Yeah, Chris Mignon certainly in his flex zone. Unanimous All-Ivy League first-team selection last year from Cornell.
Commodores back in front. Denver Jones was shoved. And Auburn maintains possession when we come back.
6'5", 215 pounds, Chris Mignon saying, Commodore faithful, come with me as we witness a little bit more Memorial Magic.
Including 2 this season.
Yeah, I think that the job that Mark Byington has done has been as good as anyone in the league, maybe anyone in the country. And, you know, the facilities have improved at Vanderbilt substantially. The coaching staff took me and showed me around yesterday. But this Memorial Gymnasium is certainly still an advantage, and it's still difficult for opponents when they come in here.
Baker Mazzara picked up by Mignon, stripped by Huffman, and a foul. Well, they call it the Hub, the Hubert Center, and it really is a game changer when you look at how this roster is constructed in the 9 transfers that Mark Byington brought in.
Oh, man, it's first class, and I was just simply overwhelmed as you see Janai Broom with the finish. I was overwhelmed at just the type of commitment the athletic director and the board that they made to Coach Mark Byington in a very minimal amount of time, and they're doing it in all sports at the same time. It's extremely impressive.
Broom the bucket. We're tied at 47. Mark Byington told us earlier today he interviewed for a handful of jobs over the years where the athletic department showed him blueprints.
Oh,
Johnson fouled from behind by McLaughlin.
well, you got to be courageous when you take off on a fast break in the SEC. Nothing's coming easy. no layup pass. Nothing dirty there. I like Devin McLaughlin not giving away an easy dunk here.
That's an important call because, as you heard, we came back from that last break. There was a foul. It was originally charged to McLaughlin that they changed to Jalen Carey. So because of that switch, McLaughlin has 2 fouls, not 3, but he's going to check out as Tyler Nickel comes back on the floor. And one more free throw for Chaney Johnson. And just to put a bow on that story, Mark Byington said, I interviewed at plenty of places where they showed me blueprints and plans. He would do a quick Google search about facilities and expected upgrades and understand that when they were close to breaking ground here at Vanderbilt, it was different. They were ready to go, going back to when he was hired from JMU almost a year ago.
Yeah, the old adage, trust but verify.
It's important in broadcasting as well.
No doubt. This is the matchup we were waiting for.
We've waited all night. Broom won that battle. The stick back by Mignon.
Graduate senior versus the freshman. Easy money.
You can feel Mignon's energy after every play that he makes. He had moments against number 6 Tennessee like that as well. Late. Johnson for 3. Boy, listen to the Auburn fans in the house.
An SEC silent assassin. Keep your eye on Chaney Johnson as this season moves forward.
Auburn by 2. Edwards picked up by Baker Mazzara.
Boy, he's quick.
Carey top of the key. Nearly banked it in.
That's a win. You settled that time if you're Jalen Carey. I like him going into the interior and doing what Janai Broom just did to him.
Carey picks up his 2nd.
And we talked about the ability of Janai Broom to continue to move. Nice penetration. The help from Tyler Nickel was there, and it was needed. I think Janai Broom had that angle, but the ability of Chaney Johnson, D2 Alabama Huntsville, actually being able to knock down that shot, it gives Auburn a much different look than when Janai Broom and Dylan Caldwell are in the game. And right now, nice job of Don Daly talking to both Jalen Carey and Janai Broom, keeping the game under control.
That's grown man basketball under the rim tonight between Carey and Broom. Pettiford. Johnson, a monster step, lays it in beautifully off the glass.
For teams that don't know about Chaney Johnson, they're going to know more about him after watching this film tonight.
Tanner behind the back. Boy, chaotic possession for Vanderbilt so far. Johnson, outstanding defense on the freshman. And Carey traveled. Easy call for Doug Shows. Standing 10 feet away.
I thought it was excellent ball movement by the Vanderbilt Commodores, but when Auburn has Chaney Johnson at the power forward position, they're much quicker defensively, so they're able to switch and match up much better than when you have 2 bigs, Janai Broom and Dylan Caldwell.
Auburn has responded. Chaney Johnson certainly has and does again. Chaney Johnson with 14. Well, he just graduated in December. All of the experience coming in for the D2 ranks a season ago for Bruce Pearl as well. He has been enormous tonight. 10 points so far in the second half for Chaney. MJ Collins, Carey. Broom comes away with it. Auburn back in front by 6 and with possession.
Janai Broom has a mismatch against Tyler Nickel if they can get the basketball inside. Chaney Johnson's been hot, though. He can go by.
Well, he's feeling it. You can sense it. Against Carey. The hesitation and the jump hook. Johnson's got 16 and a spark for number 1 on the road.
Chaney Johnson giving Auburn Tiger roll witnesses something to holler about over that left hand. Jump hook, old school.
Well, if a little Chaney Johnson is good, more is better. He has absolutely gone off in the second half tonight, Fish, with 12 points to pace Auburn.
Yeah, Roy, 6'7", 220 pounds, but he doesn't move like that. He's extremely athletic. Nice first step, and with 220 pounds, he's able to absorb the contact. He's a guy that, when you look at he and Jones, 35 points, 14 of 18. Both he and Denver have played an outstanding basketball game. Rest of the team, 22 points. But what that shows you is that the Auburn Tigers, being number one and getting everyone's best shot, has forced them to get better. Janai Broome being out for a couple of games has forced Chaney Johnson to step up and get better. With all that being said, for the Commodores, you're still in a solid position. I like the timeout because for Mark Byington, he's saying, slow down, guys. We've got to go back to getting defensive stops as they did in the first half. Continue to bring that physicality, even though the game's being called a little tighter. And I think they have to get out, Roy, in transition and use that foot speed here in this late second half.
It's a 12-2 run. Vanderbilt led 45-42 right out of the gate here in the half. And since then, Auburn has shown you why they're the number one team in the country.
Sure. Nice response after the punch from the Commodores.
Hogard picked up by Baker Mazzara. Now to Broome. Off the foot of Carey.
I'd go back to Chaney Johnson. Chaney Johnson, 26 points against Georgia State, 18 points against Kent State.
I think Bruce heard you. Johnson. Outside, Miles Kelly. Vanderbilt gets a stop.
Yeah, Miles Kelly a little short. Been on that sideline quite a bit in the second half. For the Commodores, I like going inside to Jalen Carey. I think he can go at Janai Broome.
Hogard baseline. Bounce pass to Collins. And the reverse.
Pretty. Used the rim to shield himself from Janai Broome, who's one of the best amongst active career shot blockers currently.
Auburn 6 for its last 7 from the floor. Bulk of that production coming from Johnson. And now it's Broome on Carey. Backs his way in and lays it up.
And if you're Mark Byington, you've got to allow Jalen Carey a chance to come back at Janai Broome. Make Janai Broome play defense on this end, and that's why he's putting them in a ball screen here. But you've got good help. Look at all the Auburn Tigers on the weak side helping on the ball screen.
Hogard wants it. Finds a way inside for the layup.
I think he's the heart and soul of this Commodore team. We talk about Jalen Carey, Devin McLaughlin, Jason Edwards, but as A.J. Hogard goes, so will the Commodores. Big step up as they're now cutting this lead to a 2-possession game.
Mark Byington said A.J. Hogard came here from East Lansing at Michigan State with a chip on his shoulder. And then he confirmed the notion he kind of came here to Nashville with a chip as well. And a chance for 4. Tahad Pettiford.
As the game goes on, roll witnesses continue to get louder for the Tigers. Tahad Pettiford. Get back here, young fella. Unbelievable finish. And Pettiford flexing.
Both of the other games going on, starting with Tennessee, Kentucky, off with the turnovers of Kai Ziegler to Jordan Gainey. Ziegler 6 assists. Tennessee within 3 right now at Rupp. Meanwhile, Florida, you talk about a way to come out of the locker room. They scored the first 17 points of the second half at the hump. Gators by 15. Our next game coming up, Zurich Phelps and Texas A&M into the top 10 in the AP poll, taking on a Georgia team that's lost 5 straight against ranked opponents. Guys?
Yeah, Dari, we cannot wait for that matchup, and A&M with that massive comeback at Mizzou in the second half in Columbia on Saturday. led by Wade Taylor's 3 with 1.8 seconds to go. And how about the Gators with a statement right out of the locker room at the Hump? That's impressive.
Yeah, they're one of the deepest and more versatile teams in the SEC, and you can see that, right? The ability to go in and knock off Auburn without Elijah Martin. Previous game, the ability to beat this quality Vanderbilt Commodore team without Walter Clayton Jr. playing. So they are proving that they can beat you in multiple ways and with different guys.
Here in Nashville, 62-53. Tahad Pettiford just completed the three-point shot, and he was fouled in the process on the way down. So a 4-point play possibility for numeral 0. Number 35 in the ESPN 100, another McDonald's All-American for Auburn Hoops. The 7th in program history. And you watch him at shoot-around. He is smooth, and he's got the $1 million smile as well.
Yeah, you just can't get close to shooters. A careless foul. But right now, if you're the Commodores, I like them. They're going back to a small lineup right now. Chris Mugnon's kind of playing that 4 position. They're going to try to speed this game up a little bit. I like it.
Auburn by 10. Edwards.
There you go, right? So Mark Byington's fabulous at doing that. It was all about creating that mismatch and then using the foot speed of Jason Edwards to get by Dylan Caldwell, who's an impressive defender, but he just zipped right by him easily.
Collins on Jones, and Cardwell hit the deck. Was tumbling down on top of McLaughlin, who picks up the foul.
Roy, this is what I'm talking about. Love how Mark Byington does this. This is all set by him. Ball screen and then the foot speed to get by Dylan Caldwell. We mentioned it earlier. Jason Edwards, as quick as you will find, 6'1", 175-pound junior, first team All AAC last season. And he's a guy who I think could get going at any time to lift the Commodores in this basketball game.
Auburn in the bonus, rest of the half, and Cardwell, not a great free throw shooter this season, drains the first.
That was very kind of you, partner. He's better than what his percentage says, though, right?
No, Bill Parcells told you, you are what your record says you are. He made 2 of 2.
Oh, that's good. Right now, I like, if you're Mark Byington and the Commodores, continue to go back to the mismatches. Try to get Dylan Caldwell matched up against somebody who's bigger, stronger, or who's quicker and faster, like Jason Edwards.
Chris Moore got the start tonight, picks up the foul. That's his second. And Auburn now with 14 fouls.
Well, Auburn's trying to match and go small, so that's why they've got Chris Moore at the power forward position.
McLaughlin attacking, Cardwell a block out of nowhere. And McLaughlin and Mignon on the floor.
So the first block, I believe they're saying, was clean. McLaughlin not giving it. There you go. And there's the foul when Dylan Caldwell was going after the basketball against Chris Mignon.
Well, Mignon's going to make things happen one way or another, right? I mean, he does a lot for Mark Byington's team this season.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And a feisty and testy defender, excuse me.
I like festy. That's a great combo of those 2 words.
Well, I think people, woo!
MJ Collins.
Pretty basketball. Out of bounds special team by Mark Byington. They worked on that at the shoot-around today.
8-point lead with just over 8 minutes to go in Music City. Auburn at 21-2, an incredible start for Bruce Pearl in year number 11. Miles Kelly wants to get into the act, can't do it. 3-on-2, Edwards. Boy, the lob was blocked by Baker Mazzara.
And Baker Mazzara only 180 pounds, but 6'7" with a long wingspan. Huge defensive play right now to keep a little bit of the game pressure off of Auburn. You need another stop and score here if you're the Commodores to make Auburn feel some of that pressure.
Edwards defended that time on Baker Mazzara. And it goes back to Vanderbilt. 65-57. Dylan Cardwell We'll tell you this going out to this break, there's much more than meets the eye with Auburn senior standout. One Auburn, Damian Fishback, Roy Philpott on your screen. One Dylan Cardwell. And we mentioned it going out to that break. So much more than meets the eye with one of Auburn's quintessential glue guys on this roster now for a number of years. And he continues to give back away from the game as well. Dylan's been on 2 mission trips in the last year. One to El Salvador, the most recent trip to Honduras, where he worked with Forgotten Children's Ministry, spreading the gospel, donating $14,000 of his own money to the organization. He spoke of that trip to us earlier today. He called it life-changing, life-saving. The kids that he went and spoke to, and some of his teammates did as well, would gather around. They were giving them these little toy cars. They were so excited to see Dylan and his buddies down there in Honduras. And he said, it humbled me. It keeps me grounded to this very day. And just amazing to see. You hear all the conversations about NIL and what it's done to the game. It's done a lot of positive things. In the case of Dylan Cardwell, that's just one small example.
Excellent partner. And Dylan Cardwell has always been a man of faith, even as much as he prayed with Elijah Martin in their game before Florida. He told us he thought he prayed a little too well for him, though, in the loss.
Collins off the mark. McLaughlin on the offensive glass. And here's Hogar, the runner. McLaughlin in and out. And Broom was standing out of bounds.
Yep, Doug Shaw's right there on the call. You know, Vanderbilt just hasn't quite been able to get over the hump, even though Auburn got off to that ferocious start. And you see A.J. Hogar disrupted and had his shot altered for Janard Broom, but was out of bounds still.
Under 7 minutes remaining. Edwards to Hogar. That's a deep 3. McLaughlin has it stolen away by Broom. Now, Janai Broom starting to become a bigger factor in this second half. And Mignon fouled Denver Jones. Now remember, the Tigers in the bonus.
Yeah, Vandy, we talked about how they've been the stronger, more physical team. They're actually winning the rebounding war. They're +10 on the glass, and offensively, they're +7, 14-7 in offensive rebounds, which have led to 19 second chance points.
Mignon picked up his 4th. Denver Jones, the story tonight for Auburn, along with Chaney Johnson. One more free throw coming. And don't forget, softball season underway. 4-pack of games headed your way on SEC Network beginning Thursday. Wichita State, Kentucky, Bama, San Diego State, Liberty, Mizzou on Saturday, and then Charlotte and Texas A&M on Sunday. That time of year, the spring isn't that far away, and softball and baseball on the horizon. In the circle on the diamond. Lead back to 10. Hogar to McLaughlin. Back to Edwards. Edwards open for a moment. McLaughlin outside to Nickel. Off the shot clock and out of bounds.
Nice job. Auburn right now doing a nice job of helping one another defensively. They're active. And Vanderbilt's running exceptional offense. They're penetrating, they're kicking, they're using shot fakes. And that's one of the reasons why they're dominating on the glass, because Auburn's helping so much. They're getting out of position for their defensive box outs. 10-point game. Right now, if you're the Commodores, you just need a little spark to get Memorial Gymnasium going again, back into it. It has to start on this end defensively.
Auburn's been red hot from the floor in the second half. 73% from the floor. That has been the difference in this comeback after trailing 45-42. Right out of the locker room, Chaney Johnson. I mean, an arsenal, an array of shots we've seen in this second half.
Devin McLaughlin, 6'7", 230. Chaney Johnson, 6'7", 220. But he looked like the tougher physical player on that play.
He has been extremely tough all night. Collins was bumped by Pettiford.
And this is what defensively. Watch Devin McLaughlin there. He holds his ground. Boom, there goes that left shoulder. If Devin McLaughlin probably would have fallen, he maybe would have gotten an offensive foul call, but he does a nice job, holds his ground. That's not bad defense. That's just better offense by Chaney Johnson.
Johnson shooting 57% from the floor this season. He's been even better tonight. 8 of 9. Hogard will get the roll. And the lead back to 10, and Broome and Hogard will have a word.
And Hogard looks like he's catching a cramp, maybe in that left leg. On a penetration. Yeah, and I'm sure he's just going to go to the sideline, probably try to stretch it out a little bit.
Fish, what is it like middle of February, and you've got these kinds of games? They're so physical. It becomes a grind, right, in league play in a historical season like this.
Yeah.
I mean, these guys, they're human. They get tired on occasion.
Absolutely. It's great preparation for March Madness. And Johni Broome looked pretty healthy off of the tremendous dish by Tahad Pettiford.
Broome in double figures with 10 to go along with 4 rebounds. 5 minutes and change, and the lead at 12.
I like going to Jalen Carey here, or you attack this mismatch with the speed.
Edwards, no. Clean block of the rim. Miles Kelly tried to spin it in. It'll stay with Auburn.
Tahad Pettiford, the young freshman, southpaw, but does a nice job of getting into the teeth of the defense, even falls down to be able to make that pass. He jump stops and has to jump in the air and fall just to get vision to make sure that he gets it to Johni Broome. Good help by Jalen Carey, but a better pass by Tahad Pettiford.
Broome's production, I mean, it's been gritty. He has been out there. Bruce Pearl mentioned it yesterday, the Auburn media. And Broome on the attack was fouled by Carey.
Well, and if you're Jalen Carey that time, we talked about how good he's been defensively. You want to stay down on that pump fake. Johni Broome shoots 51% from the field, but from the three-point line, he still hasn't perfected that shot yet. And you talked about his production here in the second half. He plays winning basketball, and that time Jalen Carey bit on the shot fake, which allowed him to get to the basket.
All the conversation about Johni Broome, Cooper Flagg, National Player of the Year.
Sure.
What will it take for Johni to win the award over Cooper Flagg?
Well, I would say Johni Broome up to this point has been ahead of Cooper Flagg, and that has been associated with the success of the Auburn Tigers. I think that the Auburn Tigers are going to have to continue to maintain that success with Johni Broome playing at a high level in the best league in college basketball to give him the best chance to get to receive the reward. Cooper Flagg at the next level is going to be the better player, period, and he's got a good chance of being the #1 draft pick.
Tanner, the freshman, open for a moment, 73-61. Chaney Johnson, the lob, and Broome couldn't dunk it down.
Open the door now if you're the Commodores.
Tanner forced one up off the side of the backboard.
Yeah, Commodores having challenges dealing with the length of Auburn.
Broome comes up short. Edwards the other way. Fouled hard. That'll get us to the under 4 media timeout. Jason Edwards shooting 2 free throws. When we come back, #1 Auburn with a 12-point lead, and Bruce Pearl got to be pleased with his club so far.
All right, okay, in studio, how about we update Tennessee, Kentucky, where things have changed. Tennessee now with a 1-point lead. Off the miss, here we go the other way. Zakai Ziegler, the blow by, the bucket. And Tennessee up 3 on Kentucky at Rupp, trying to avenge a loss to Kentucky in Knoxville 2 weeks ago. Meanwhile, your 4-time Freshman of the Week in the SEC, Asa Newell and Georgia, they need a win like this. They're at A&M coming up a little over 15 minutes, guys.
We can't wait, and Joe Lenardi in his bracket bunker believes right now Georgia's still on the right side of the bubble. They got to start finding ways to win games tonight at top 10 Texas A&M at Reed Arena. Certainly a tremendous opportunity. Here it's number 1 Auburn, the lead at 12. Damian Fishback, Roy Philpott. We've watched Janai Broome in the second half. We talked about the conversation of him, Cooper Flagg, National Player of the Year. How does the ankle injury relate to that whole situation and AU down the stretch with their national championship hopes?
Yeah, well, that's another valid point, right? Because Janai Broome hasn't been 100%, and his performance over the last few games has declined. Even missed a couple of layups here today in the previous game against Florida, so that will be a factor as well. The good news is we got a lot of season left to be able to decide between the two. Both of them outstanding players.
Well, you know he wants plenty of rest between now and Saturday. I mean, the elephant in the room, literally. The Crimson Tide in Tuscaloosa.
Yeah.
1 versus 2. An SEC matchup. College game day is going to be at Coleman Coliseum. And look, Auburn has done everything it possibly could today and tonight to not look ahead towards that matchup. They've played well, obviously. They need to close this one out strong. But, boy, healthy Janai Broome is going to be critical for that game. And the eyes of the college basketball universe will be the great state of Alabama as those two rivals meet as 1 versus 2. And Broome stays with it, finds a way.
Well, it was just too big, and that was an outstanding set once again called where you had the other 4 players of Auburn lifted on the strong side almost, and then you throw it to Janai Broome. That's something that Lamont Paris in South Carolina do a lot for Colin Murray Boyle.
Hogard comes up short on the reverse. Janai Broome, 12 points in the second half. The lead at 13. And Tahad Pettiford looking at his head coach. He'll slow it down for a moment. Baker Mazzara held in check tonight. Janai Broome fouled by McLaughlin.
And once again, there was a mismatch where Janai Broome was able to go inside, use his size and athleticism, matched up against A.J. Hogard, who's 6'4", 220 pounds. Obviously, with Janai Broome, he's got him by about 6 inches and 20 pounds. He's 6'10", 240. So Auburn now trying to go to the mismatch as Mark Byington continues to play with the smaller lineup.
One more free throw for Broome. Jason Edwards looking down towards his head coach and Mark Byington. And Vanderbilt's got to get things together quickly. A road trip to Knoxville looming on Saturday. And you look at the rest of the Commodore schedule. There's top 15 teams everywhere, just as it's been for the most part in the month of January. Chaney Johnson, an offensive rebound. And then Baker Mazzara steps out of bounds.
Well, give credit to Vanderbilt. You haven't seen as much as that offensive rebound domination that you would expect with the front line that Auburn has. They've responded from a physical standpoint, Vanderbilt has. They're +6 on the glass, +5 on the offensive glass. Vanderbilt just hasn't been able to make shots. They're 3 of 16 from behind the three-point line, and they come in shooting about 33% from the three-point line in conference play.
Yeah, 3 for 16 compared to 9 triples for Auburn. That three-point differential has been huge. MJ Collins, Chaney Johnson, and a jump ball gives it back to Auburn.
Yeah, that time if you're MJ Collins, you just got to try to get the ball up on the basket, which is a challenge with so many shot blockers in Janai Broome currently.
Have we given enough credit to the Tigers and their defense tonight in this second half?
That's what I thought was missing in the Florida game. I thought they went into the Florida game and thought they could outscore Florida. You cannot outscore Florida. North Carolina tried it. You know, it'll be a great game when you look at any team that can score points in a hurry.
Boom on the attack.
Looked like that ankle was feeling okay on that play.
I would say so. And a timeout called by Mark Byington. And this Auburn crowd starting to make a little bit of noise in Music City.
The road witnesses continue to travel for the Auburn Tigers. Janai Broome slips the screen and showing that he still has a little elevation, and that ankle's starting to feel a lot better for the gritty, tough veteran. Morehead State transfer just continues to overachieve. I think it's a testament to the staff of Auburn and their development of multiple players. Janai Broome, Miles Kelly, Chaney Johnson, Tahad Pettiford, Denver Jones, all of those guys continuing to get better. And thus far, it's been an impressive showing by the #1 team in the nation.
Now, speaking of Janai Broome, let's take a look at our all-state good hands play. Tahad Pettiford, Janai Broome, little give-and-go action. They've been all over the map tonight, and Pettiford finding a way to get it to the big fella.
Yeah, well, that's one of the reasons why I think Auburn plays so well is that they're balanced. Their guards mix pretty well with their shooters that are basically on the perimeter with their bigs. Nice.
Tanner forced the contact. Baker Mazzara picks up the foul. And the freshman Tyler Tanner was certainly a bright future for #3 in the black and gold tonight. Look at his assist to turnover ratio, 47-4. Essentially played more than 300 minutes before committing his first turnover this freshman campaign. He'll get one more free throw. Collins, Carey, and Mignon check back in.
Really like Tyler Tanner, Roy. You know, he's a hometown kid. I thought he was a good get for Mark Byington, #1 recruit in Tennessee, top 150 nationally. Comes from an athletic family. Mom and dad both played at Rice. I like his speed. He's continuing to learn on the job. And he's going to have to continue to improve for Vanderbilt to get to this tournament.
(78-64). Auburn has closed this game out in extremely strong fashion. Boy, Pettiford's 4-point play was enormous. Right as Vanderbilt gained the lead. Step back three.
Good defense that time by Jalen Carey. That's what you want from Janai Broome, even though he made a couple of those on the road at Ole Miss.
Tanner to Collins. Outside of Mignon, that's a triple. And McLaughlin eye off the glass. They'll slice the lead to 12, 1:16 to go, and Mark Byington calls the quick timeout.
I like the timeout here. Mark Byington wanting to make sure that Auburn earns this victory. And right now, he's, you know, cut the lead to 12 points. The iron's just been unkind, as we mentioned earlier, 3 of 17.
I want you to look at Vanderbilt's upcoming schedule and look at what they've been through, the gauntlet since that upset win against top 10 Tennessee. 4th-ranked Bama, #9 Kentucky, that was a win here. 6th-ranked Florida, a loss down in Gainesville, competitive game. And then look what's coming up after tonight, Fish.
Yeah, I mean, you think about Tennessee, who's going to be certainly anxious to pay them back for the loss that they served on a nice dish here at Memorial Gymnasium. And then you think about going to Rupp Arena. It's always hard to win with the Wildcats. We'll see how healthy they can be. Chris Beard, I think the unsung hero of the SEC this year. Probably nobody talking about Ole Miss and them still not getting the respect they deserve. We already talked about the Aggies earlier. And then potential coach of the year, Dennis Gates, and Missouri, where they had won 14 in a row at home before they were upset by the Texas A&M Aggies. So Missouri Tigers can compete with anybody in the nation. And so that's a challenging schedule, but ample opportunities is what you want to say if you're the Commodores, because if you want to get to the tournament, that's certainly a schedule that can get you there.
That's why the win against Texas on Saturday was so enormous, given what was coming up down the stretch. They found a way to come back and get that victory here at Memorial Gymnasium. Different story so far tonight, and give all the credit in the world. Auburn, after its first SEC loss, trailing by 3 here in the early stages of the second. They have found a way and trying to finish this one out in strong fashion again.
Well, you see Tahad Pettiford at the point guard, but this all started with Denver Jones, number 2 in blue. 21st career 20-point outing for Denver Jones. He's played one of his best games in an Auburn uniform.
A season high in terms of SEC play for that man, Chaney Johnson. He now has 20 points and also 21 for Denver Jones. 80-66, and all eyes will now focus on Tuscaloosa. At least from an Auburn perspective. You got Bama hosting Texas later tonight. Tanner off the mark. And we can only imagine what that scene is going to be like. Game day in the house, 1 versus 2, and the SEC front and center in the middle of this college basketball surge in 2025.
Well, both of them certainly capable of getting 1 seeds. There's so much at stake for that basketball game. It's a rivalry, the state of Alabama. You got 2 potential National Players of the Year. Mark Sears started the season as a potential preseason National Player of the Year. Janai Broome, after the trip to Maui, got put on the map. You've got bragging rights. You've got an SEC title on the line. You've got teams that could end up in the Final Four in San Antonio against one another again. So it's going to be an impeccable game. I expect Tuscaloosa to be as live as it's ever been.
We think about it. You take a look at Auburn, a 1 seed according to Joe Lunardi. Bama, a 1 seed. Tennessee in Tuscaloosa. Auburn, Alabama on the Plains.
Yeah.
Auburn, Alabama in the SEC tournament. And it's not out of the realm of possibility. Somewhere deep into the dance itself next month or in early April, could it be possible? Big win for the Tigers on the road. Vanderbilt set to regroup before a road trip to Knoxville. Baker Mazzara off the mark, and Mignon tracks it down. 13 seconds to go.
I think it's intriguing that Auburn was able to come into this environment, being number 1, coming off a loss, and get this victory with Chad Baker Mazzara coming off of the bench and being scoreless. He had 4 assists. A couple of rebounds, but Chad Baker Mazzara is an interesting weapon for Auburn. So to be able to have this win with him going scoreless, I think is a testament to the depth of this Auburn team as well.
Fishy averages almost 13 per game, almost 3.5 boards for Bruce Pearl's team. Scoreless tonight, and it was really the Chaney Johnson, Denver Jones showcase.
Just needed to make more shots, the Commodores, tonight. Auburn defended the 3-point shot extremely well. And you talked about the combination of Denver Jones and Chaney Johnson for 41. Auburn faithful have seen it before. They had 43 against Georgia State, 30 against Kent State, and 30 against Mississippi State. A dynamic duo.
80-68, our final score. Auburn now 6-0 on the road in the SEC. It's the best start in conference play in Coach Pearl's 11 seasons on the Plains. For Damian Fishback, I'm Roy Philpott. We say good night from Music City. Let's get you back to the studio and the guys.
All righty, big second half there for Auburn, taking care of business before they go to Tuscaloosa. What impressed you most about that second half?
I mean, without a doubt, you have to look at Denver Jones and Chaney Johnson. But I really love how Tahad Pettiford focused on getting the ball to Janai Broome. He started out really slow that game, but finished it great in the second half.
Yeah, these guys are who we thought they were. Like when you watch Auburn, they are that good. Believe what your eyes are showing you, people. This is the #1 team in the nation, and they do turn it on and play with force.
Pretty incredible. Chad Baker-Mazara can go scoreless, and they still win on the road by 12.
Yeah.
A good showing for them. Yeah, Denver Jones was sensational. All right, A&M, Georgia, what are you most eager to see here?
I'm looking to see how Texas A&M plays well at home together. Do they play as a unit, or is one guy just going to blow them out the water?
Yeah, for A&M, I'm ready to see that Zurich Phelps, Wade Taylor, complete game. Let's see it.
Somebody step up for Georgia, right, besides Asa?